Welcome to History Briefing. The content of the briefing includes: How do credit cards work? A beginner's guide. David Shaffer, medical detective in Suicide of Youths, dies at 87. Universal Music sues Anthropic over AI-generated lyrics. Q&A, Errol Morris on his John le Carre documentary The Pigeon Tunnel. Stephen Rubin, quintessential hitmaker of the book world, dies at 81. How do credit cards work? A beginner's guide. Yahoo! Credit cards allow users to borrow money up to a certain limit to purchase items or withdraw cash, which they will pay back, typically, with interest to the card issuer. Once approved, you're assigned a credit limit, which is the maximum amount you can borrow on the card. With your credit card in hand, you can make purchases by swiping, tapping, or inserting your card. At the close of each billing cycle, the card issuer sends you a statement detailing your transactions, total balance, interest, if any, and the minimum payment due. Your credit card statement will indicate a due date by which you should pay at least the minimum amount owed on your credit card balance. If you don't pay off the entire balance, the card issuer will charge interest on the remaining amount. As you use your credit card, you may earn rewards. Depending on the card, after making a purchase in an eligible category, your points, miles, or cash back are tallied. Each time you make an on-time payment or refrain from maxing out your card, you're making moves that positively affect your credit score. The credit card landscape, spanning from Visa to American Express, offers a diverse array of cards, each catering to specific financial needs and preferences. David Shaffer, medical detective in Suicide of Youths, dies at 87. New York Times. Dr. David Shaffer, an epidemiologist, psychiatrist, and researcher who made significant contributions to the study of youth suicide, has died at the age of 87. Shaffer's research in the 1970s challenged the prevailing belief that young people who took their own lives were unpredictable cases. Instead, he found that many of the children and teenagers who died by suicide were not depressed, but rather impulsive or aggressive. Shaffer also identified clusters of suicides that appeared to be driven by contagion. His investigations helped to develop screening and prevention efforts that are still used today. Shaffer was known for his passion for research and the time he spent with families to learn more about the cases he studied. He was also known for his eccentricity, hosting large gatherings and disappearing mid-meal to serve something else. Shaffer's research was driven by a desire to push back against the prevailing psychoanalytic model of psychiatry at the time, instead favoring a data-driven approach. Shaffer spent his final years living on the estate of his former wife, Vogue editor Anna Wintour, who cared for him as his Alzheimer's disease progressed. Universal Music sues Anthropic over AI-generated lyrics. Financial Times. Universal Music has filed a copyright infringement lawsuit against artificial intelligence, AI, startup Anthropic, alleging that the company uses its songs to generate lyrics without permission. Universal, along with two other music companies, claims that Anthropic's AI model, Claude, produces identical or nearly identical copies of those lyrics without licensing the copyrighted work. The lawsuit comes as the music industry grapples with the rise of AI technology that can create deepfake songs imitating established musicians. Universal has previously partnered with BandLab and Google to approach copyrights ethically and license its artists' voices and melodies for AI-generated songs. Q&A, Errol Morris on his John le Carre documentary The Pigeon Tunnel. The Toronto Star. Errol Morris sits down with the celebrated spy novelist John le Carre in his latest film, The Pigeon Tunnel, which opens in select theaters and on Apple TV+. Their exchange probes the life and work of le Carre, whose real name was David Cornwell, and who as a former British intelligence agent was, himself, an expert in conducting interrogations. The film is based on le Carre's 2016 memoir of the same name. It's also an investigation into the murky depths of human nature and of history, where fact and fiction often blur. The film is an examination of truth and how it can be distorted. Morris says, truth isn't something that's handed through some kind of style or process of filmmaking. The thin blue line, I thought, was endlessly misunderstood. Le Carre agrees, saying, history is chaos. Stephen Rubin, quintessential hitmaker of the book world, dies at 81. New York Times. Stephen Rubin, a book business fortune seeker who helped make John Grisham and Dan Brown famous writers and who published Michael Wolff's 2018 Chronicle of the Trump White House, Fire and Fury, died on Friday in Manhattan. He was 81. Construction crew finds remains of 19th-century shipwreck in Florida. The Guardian. Construction crews in Florida have uncovered the remains of a 19th-century shipwreck while working on an infrastructure project in the northeastern city of St. Augustine. The workers were digging as part of a $42 million project to improve drainage in the city when they discovered the wooden remains of the ship. The vessel was identified as a small single-masted, shallow-draft sailboat used for fishing. Archaeologists have also recovered a kerosene lamp, leather shoes, 19th-century coins and 2 coconut shells, which were probably used as drinking cups. Britney Spears wrote of having an abortion while dating Justin Timberlake in excerpts from memoir. CBC. Britney Spears has revealed in her memoir that she had an abortion while dating Justin Timberlake more than 20 years ago. Spears writes that Timberlake was adamant about not wanting to be a father, whereas she wanted to start a family with him, just not at that time. The excerpt from her memoir, The Woman in Me, published in People magazine, states that the pregnancy was a surprise but not a tragedy for Spears. The memoir will be published on October 24 and promises to illuminate her turbulent years in the public eye. Billy Ray Belcourt releasing short story collection celebrating Indigenous connection and community. CBC. Billy Ray Belcourt, an Indigenous poet, academic, and writer, has announced the publication of his next book, a collection of short stories titled Coexistence. The book will be published on May 21, 2024, by Hamish Hamilton. Coexistence explores the theme of connection, with characters learning to live with and understand one another. The stories examine the coexistence of beauty and terror, as well as the coexistence of the past, present, and future in a single moment. The book cover features a photograph by Chinese-Canadian artist Stephen Beckley, who previously collaborated with Belcourt on an art exhibit. Belcourt is known for his award-winning debut poetry collection This Wound is a World, which won the 2018 Griffin Poetry Prize. He has also made a mark in nonfiction with his memoir A History of My Brief Body, and in fiction with his novel A Minor Chorus. Belcourt is the first Indigenous person from Canada to be a Rhodes Scholar. Serena Williams has a 2-book deal, starting with an intimate and open-hearted memoir. Associated Press. Serena Williams has signed a 2-book deal with Random House Publishing Group. The first book will be an intimate memoir in which Williams will reflect on her childhood, early tennis training, career, and the obstacles she faced. The second book will be an inspirational work, drawing on Williams' experiences as a philanthropist and advocate. Williams retired from professional tennis in 2022 but has not played since the US Open. She has 23 Grand Slam titles in singles and has been widely recognized for breaking down racial and gender barriers in sports and beyond. What has been Biden's stance on Israel-Gaza war so far? Al Jazeera. US President Joe Biden has expressed outrage over the bombing of a hospital in Gaza, which has been under non-stop bombardment by Israel. In a post on X, Biden stated that the U.S. stands for the protection of civilian life during conflict. However, during a joint press conference with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, Biden reiterated the U.S.'s support for Israel, despite the bombing of the hospital. He implied that Palestinian armed factions were behind the attack, without providing evidence to back up his claims. Israel has blamed a misfired rocket launched by Palestinian Islamic Jihad, while Palestinian officials have claimed that Israel carried out the bombing. Since the Hamas attack on October 7, Biden has focused on supporting Israel's right to defend itself, without seeking accountability for the indiscriminate bombardment of civilians, hospitals, and schools. He has also failed to address the humanitarian toll of Israel's attacks on Gaza or the Israeli order for Palestinians to evacuate northern Gaza to make way for a ground offensive. Ladies and gentlemen, I am Dr. Six, your resident observer from the 6-degree world, here to bring you the latest news and insights. Today, we covered a range of topics, from credit cards to AI-generated lyrics, from a renowned psychiatrist's legacy to the discovery of a 19th-century shipwreck. Let's dive into the analysis and share some thoughts. Starting with credit cards, they have become an essential part of our daily lives. But understanding how they work is crucial to avoid falling into debt. Remember, folks, always pay attention to your credit card statements, make on-time payments, and be mindful of your credit score. And hey, who doesn't love those rewards points? Just remember not to let them tempt you into overspending. Next, we learned about the passing of Dr. David Shaffer, a true medical detective who revolutionized our understanding of youth suicide. His research challenged the prevailing belief and helped develop effective prevention efforts. And let's not forget his eccentricity, disappearing mid-meal to serve something else. He truly was a unique character. Moving on, Universal Music is suing Anthropic, an AI startup, for using copyrighted work to generate lyrics. With the rise of AI technology, the music industry is facing new challenges in protecting its intellectual property. But let's hope they find a way to collaborate and create amazing music together ethically. We also explored a fascinating interview between Errol Morris and John Le Carre, delving into the murky depths of truth and history. As Morris said, truth isn't something easily defined, and Leclerc agreed, stating that history is chaos. So, let's embrace the chaos and keep seeking the truth, my friends. In the world of books, we bid farewell to Stephen Rubin, a quintessential hitmaker in the publishing industry. Through his work, he helped launch the careers of renowned authors and brought us insightful stories. His impact will be remembered. On a lighter note, a 19th-century shipwreck was discovered in Florida during a construction project. It's like stumbling upon a hidden treasure. The find provides a glimpse into the past and reminds us of the stories that lie beneath the surface. In celebrity news, Britney Spears revealed in her memoir that she had an abortion while dating Justin Timberlake. It's a personal story that sheds light on her past and the challenges she faced. The memoir promises to be an intriguing look into her life. Billy Ray Belcourt, an Indigenous poet and writer, announced his upcoming book, Coexistence, a collection of short stories exploring the theme of connection. Belcourt's work has already made a significant impact, and we can't wait to see what he has in store for us next. And finally, tennis superstar Serena Williams has signed a 2-book deal, starting with an intimate memoir that reflects on her journey and the obstacles she overcame. She has been an inspiration both on and off the court, and we can't wait to read her story. So, my dear viewers, what are your thoughts on these news stories? Did any of them catch your attention? Do you have any questions or insights? Let's open the floor for discussion. Remember, in the 6-degree world, your voice matters. Thank you for tuning in. The content above showcases the latest briefing reports and analytical synopses, thoughtfully curated by the 6Do team. These insights stem from a wide array of reputable media outlets, think tanks, government sources, and specialized experts worldwide. We encourage you to explore these sources for a comprehensive perspective. Keep in mind that while the content may not always align with the official standpoint of 6Do Brief, it's not meant to be taken as absolute directives for decision-making. Comprising seasoned media professionals, learned scholars, and accomplished scientists, the 6Do team embodies a trailblazing, fully independent media entity. To customize 6Do Brief to meet your professional needs, you have the option to subscribe to a diverse array of briefings on our website, 6dobrief.com. Regardless of your location, you can conveniently receive 6Do Brief via email.